All right. Welcome to another episode of Leaders and Legacies. I want to introduce you to Barry Coziahr. I want to get that right. He says it sounds like desire. It's Coziahr. Barry Coziahr. And so thankful to have Barry here. He has a CEO of a number of companies, one of which is Freetime Solutions. Barry has consulted and trained more than 100,000 small business owners, as well as delivered over 1,000 seminars and workshops to small businesses across the United States. His presentations demonstrate proven business growth and marketing tactics that use real-world examples and case studies to help businesses, authors, and nonprofits expand their activities successfully. He also has helped countless small businesses expand by putting in place effective, high-quality personnel and systems to utilize people correctly and scale their business. Barry, welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we're working on 100,000. We're in the tens of thousands, but haven't quite reached that 100,000 mark yet. But thank you in advance.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just like that's a lot. That's a good goal. I like that. I got excited when you just said that.
Yeah. So Barry, let's start by just a little bit more tangibly help people understand who you help and how you help them.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've been working with small businesses for a long time. I guess I've had my own business now I've been working with small businesses for longer than I've had my own business. I've been working with small businesses for about 36 years. Had my own small business for about 18. And my businesses have always been aimed at helping other small businesses, helping them grow, figuring out, just giving them help in general, whatever that might be. Sometimes it might just be advice. Sometimes it's like free education, also services, helping people do that. And right now what we do is one of the company Freetime Solutions, we focus on giving them high quality people, which is key. Helping them to fill roles that'll help them to scale their company.
Okay. Now, it's starting a business is hard. I know somebody well who keeps talking about it. And I've told my wife, I said, I don't think he'll ever do it because his current life is too comfortable. But getting a business started is hard. So as you work with small businesses, what are some of the common problems, common pitfalls you see them falling into?
I mean, the problems are basically like the guy doesn't have enough leads, doesn't have enough sales going. Obviously, replacing yourself, obviously a lot of cases you can do things better than anybody else. So that's a problem. Being willing to give up things and give them to other people and let them, apprentice people, train people, pick the right people. Those are all some of the biggest problems. And then, the other one would be then overextending yourself, it's a serious problem. Can be a serious problem for people financially. And then just getting too stressed out as a result of one or more of those things. Those are the pitfalls and the problems. And that's what we try to help them with.
Okay. Now, one of the tensions I think people starting their business have is resources are so tight that they often do a lot of things. You say they end up doing too much themselves. And so I would imagine in a number of cases, it's not that they don't want to hand it off. They're just afraid they can't hire someone. They don't want to make that commitment. They don't want to imperil somebody. How would you advise those people?
Obviously you have to make enough money to be able to do it, right? So you have to make enough money. We basically have a virtual assistant company. So one of the problems I ran into as a business owner was hiring people didn't mean just paying a wage here in the States to somebody, which is has to be reasonably decent to get a decent person, right? You're talking 20, sometimes more dollars an hour easily. Then there's insurance, then there's workman's comp, then there's the taxes, and then there's the, if you want them on the site with you, then there's the cost for the space. And I've ran businesses that way, and there's a lot of expenses. So for about a third, and then I started hiring virtual assist remote personnel and training them and getting really good at picking them myself. And our business boomed because we started doing that, because I could have 3 people for the cost of 1. And
Wow.
three people that are high quality for the often for the cost of 1. So, and it, because you also get into the heartache of hiring somebody, and then what if they don't work out? But if you hire 3 and you end up and you give them all useful things to do, and then one of them works out really well, that's okay, and then you can go back and hire some more. Basically, obviously, you want to use that person intelligently to like grow your business. So one of the first things I outsourced was my own lead generation. Like I would do my own lead generation and reach out and get introductions to people that I wanted to meet. And I was pretty good at it. I could meet I meet people every day, and I was great at it. I did a great job. For me, I was pretty happy with it, right? Uh, and so, but then, so I basically, but that was a bad use of my time. I decided, I hired somebody and put them on it full time, and so their job, and I trained them, and I gave them a process, right? And I put together processes for them, and so their job is to keep my calendar full. So now that's completely, somebody else does that. All I do is meet with the people that I want to meet with. So that resulted in a lot more sales, which the money then made it so I could invest in more people and solve other problems. Because money's quite often the first problem you have to solve. And you have to really think with, there's a great book called the 80-20 principle by Richard Koch. And I know a lot of people probably know about the 80-20 principle. It means like 80% of the results come from about 20% of the causes. So what are those things? What are those 80%, those other 80 things, right? Are those other 80% of the stuff that you're doing that you could give to somebody else, right? There's like 80% of the stuff that you shouldn't be doing. You should be doing those key 20% actions that are actually going to drive the business, right? And another way to look at it, what are some key things that can help you build up that 20%, those 20% of the business? That's like the stuff that you can really elevate and elevate the business by supporting, right? And mine was getting me in front of talking to more people, lead generation, setting appointments for me. So I train people, put them to work doing it. And so we have a whole team of virtual assistants. That's all they do for people. And I have a few that do it for me. So, and then we get into establishing personnel, and there's a slew of other functions that key ones that built up the business tremendously and allowed us to provide better service for people. And there's some that people overlook, like really training people and investing in people is totally an 80-20 thing. If you take some time and you actually train and invest in somebody who's a good person on your team, that pays you back forever.
Right.
So there's those little key things that you can do just by looking at looking things over. And that was just a key part for us, was to, there are good people that exist overseas. If we work with the Philippines specifically, because we find that they're a family and spiritual orientated community. They have a high work ethic. They love to learn. These are all like things that I consider important, and I think they make the people better people. And so, yeah.
So help me understand the cost of that. Like you said, if I were to hire somebody here in the US, I mean, literally there's a gas station, there's a big chain called Buc-ee's. It's I promise, the biggest gas station you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Whatever you're envisioning, it's bigger.
Right.
And I just stopped at Buc-ee's Saturday night to gas up. And, just to work the register, they're paying $18-20 an hour.
Sure.
And then, like you said, there's insurance, unemployment, and, things on top of that. What are some reasonable numbers for bringing in a VA?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously a VA can't man your cash register, right? They're not going to be able to be they're not a virtual assistant is somebody from overseas who can do anything that can be done remotely via computer or via a phone, right? And there's a lot that can be done. We've got this little booklet, 249 things that a virtual assistant can do for you. Now they can't.
Let me interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a really valuable asset.
Yeah.
So if people go to freetime.solutions, you'll find a menu and there will be downloads, and you can get it there.
That's right.
Freetime.solutions, and then look for download. So anyway, I'm sorry, please go on.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, so you know, there's a lot of physical on the spot jobs that you can't, and there's plenty of that type of work that you need to hire somebody here, right? I can't have a virtual assistant come and fix my sink, or a billion other things that that you need people on the ground to do. So it doesn't replace those jobs at all, or those individuals. What it does is provides incredible labor for the small business owner so that they can scale. And so we provide virtual assistants for typically for less than $10 an hour. So that's pretty amazing. So you can have a part-time or a full-time person who's working for you, getting tons of work done for less than $10 an hour. And so with insurance and all the other costs associated with, typical hiring, is easily 3 times that in many cases.
So they're providing their own computer.
Yeah. But sometimes if we really like them, you can upgrade their computer. I've had clients who have done that for our virtual assistants because our people have done such a great job. They're like, I want to get her a new computer. So she's got a great, I want to get her a second computer. So she's got 2 monitors. And and so they'll actually get into investing and helping, and but yeah, typically our VAs provide their own computers and everything.
Now, I actually used to live in the Philippines a long time ago, and the import tariffs were insane. They were absolutely insane. So like TVs were cheaper in the US than they were in the Philippines.
Right.
Are computers the same way?
I think the electronics industry they're fine. They've got a big electronics industry. They provide computers are not a problem. They've got their own version of Amazon that's not Amazon. I forget what it's called, but they've got their own version of that over in the Philippines that services their community really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about software? Who provides the software? So like Microsoft Office or things like that?
Sure. Often they have their own, but on some specialized software that the client might provide it for them, obviously, or get a license for them for something, and then we buy. Yeah, and then like we do, for instance, but often they'll just have their own. There's so many options available, like and Google and all the Google tools are all free, to anybody. So you can have a word processor, spreadsheets, all of that.
Yeah. So when somebody comes to you, because I'm imagining a lot of people listening, have seen websites where you can hire directly from the Philippines. What do you do that's different than somebody that hires directly from the Philippines?
Sure. Well, if anybody's ever hired anybody before, like I've actually, when I used to hire for my marketing company, for a couple of days, we'd have people coming through, and I'd be doing testing and interviews, and like took a few days full time to like go through dozens and dozens and dozens of applicants to find somebody that may or may not work out. So so hiring itself is like a skill, and takes a lot of work, right? So just that itself is pretty key. So we do personality, IQ, and aptitude testing. We do personality testing to find out if the person's going to be a fit culturally, because we have certain things we know. We want people that are going to be lifelong learners who have good goals, they're stable, they're good communication skills. IQ testing, basically to measure their problem solving ability, because we want people that can solve their own problems, right? And are intelligent, and that's what IQ measures. And then aptitude testing, which basically the test that we use measures their ability to follow instructions. So can a person follow instructions when you give it to them? All these are like key basics that you have to have in place. And then we do other interviews on the people to make sure that their environment, they're all set up, everything that they need to be able to do a great job for somebody. So that takes quite a bit. And we actually have we have 4 people that are just, that's all they do, is
Wow.
they really dig in on finding high quality personnel who, that you're going to be excited to have part of your team. And then in that rare instance, because we do so much for it, generally we're providing people who work out. It's not a problem, right? But on that rare instance where the person doesn't work out, we just stop the clock and we apply our process to replace the person. So there's that. And then we provide ongoing training for our people, because we think that if you have to invest in your own personal growth. I believe that myself personally, I do every week, invest in reading and whatever it is that I might do. I actually take time every week to spend a good chunk of hours working on me. And we encourage our people to do that as well, providing them with training that they can do on their own time, as well as providing with training that we pay for, that allows them to just elevates their skills and their ability to be organized and be a great team member for our clients.
Wow. And one of the things that you said a few minutes ago that really caught my eye caught my ear was you liked the Philippines. You said they were family oriented, they were spiritual. And you were talking about making an impact in those lives. And this is the Leaders and Legacies podcast. And where we do talk about how you make a difference in people's lives. How have you seen lives changed? How have you impacted lives through this globally?
Sure. We help small business owners. That's quite rewarding. Like when we have people who are now able to scale their business quicker because we're providing amazing people at a rate that they can afford. So that's fantastic, right? But then we get into really training our guys. Showing them, setting a good example for other people is a big deal, right? So if you set an example that you're you're upbeat, you're excited, you want to have fun, right? That actually translates. You set a good example for people and they start to act the same way. That learning is important, that ethics is important, that that production and being productive and useful to your fellow teammates and to the people that you work for is important. Just by setting a good example, like I'm part of a character education program. I have been for over 35 years, where we reach out and we teach people, we teach a character education, treat others as you'd want to be treated, set a good example, respect the religious beliefs of others, be industrious, be competent, love and help children, honor and respect your parents, all these different basic things that you would think would be common sense. We teach and we try to exemplify. And I teach my staff that for sure. I've also got my virtual assistants who help support me with my nonprofit work today. So they get excited about my nonprofit work, the character education work. And I've seen huge impacts. It can change a whole family to introduce character education or to set a good example or help somebody, just tweak their life and get a little bit better on the right road, right? And I've even helped clients in the same way. I mean, obviously, if I see something's going on, I don't just roll past it. I ask about it and see if I can help.
That's
So
hard.
yeah,
That's really hard.
I'm nosy.
No, it's challenging because, when you do that, you're putting your revenue at jeopardy.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I mean, sometimes I would say that my personal integrity is more important than one customer. There's some customers I won't take on because of what they represent. I mean, I've had people who want to, certain types of advertising or whatever. I disagree with. It's not that many. It's not a huge number of them, but there are some that I just consider that are more destructive than they are constructive in society. So I'll pass. But I won't tell the person that they're bad. I'll just say, hey, what, that doesn't quite the kind of thing we do. I don't think I can help you. And politely send them on their way. But if I run into somebody who's like I had a staff member just the other day, one of my team members who, she's having some health issues. I happen to know of somebody who, so we didn't talk about the work or what was going on or whatever. We talked about her health issues because she's a hard worker. She's helping people. She's helping our customers every day. She's a good person. So I went and showed her a bunch of videos from this guy, Dr. Eric Berg, who's a great chiropractor nutritionist who has tons of videos on just about everything you could think of on YouTube, right? And so I just took the time to show her some videos. Said, great, here's some videos that deal specifically with what you're dealing with. I know that this guy would help. I know that you can find the things he's recommending, the food or vitamins he's recommending. You can find them here locally. Here, he's got 5 videos on what you're dealing with. There you go, right? Or I'll send somebody, I'll tell customers about movies like The Sound of Freedom that's out right now in theaters, which is fighting human trafficking, right?
Yeah.
And if I run into somebody who has a disagreement with that, well, it's fine. They can go away too, But I haven't run into that person yet. So I find people that are, really excited. I actually was talking with a lady the other day, and I was telling her about them. Oh yeah, I just saw the movie, and we're chatting, and she's like, oh, my minister is starting a podcast, and he really, he wants to help and do something in the community. And I'm like, great. Well, good. I've got somebody who can help him. One of our virtual assistants can actually jump in and assist him. So, so I mean, getting involved, I like getting involved in people's lives. And I haven't run into anything yet where, well, I probably have lost a customer or two, but it hasn't impacted me in any way.
That's awesome. Can you think of a time where you feel like your leadership was put to the test, where it was just one of those moments and it was just hard to work through it?
Yeah, I guess basically like, I mean, there was a time where we had we sold a business in St. Louis before we moved down here to Clearwater, and it was quite stressful. There's like a fair number of employees. There was had its own space and everything, so there's a lot of expenses, and it was pretty stressful. Like go in and like have to like push through every week, make sure everybody got their paycheck, and it was challenging. So I'd say that, I mean, the main thing that got me through it was always like taking responsibility for how I contributed to any bad conditions, right? If I find myself complaining or finding fault with things, I mean, there could be things to complain about. There certainly could be problems in the environment and stuff. But that question I asked myself, like, what part of this could I take responsibility for? What part of this did I contribute to? How did I cause this situation, right? That I'm running into that's a problem for me right now. I'd say that's the biggest thing that has gotten me over whatever I run into. And then once I take that responsibility, figuring out how I can improve myself so I don't run into it again. So, but that's been a big deal for me. And I actually help my staff with that too. When they have a mistake or a problem or something that they did that resulted in a bad condition, we actually go through, we help them, change their approach to that type of thing in life so that they don't run into it again. And it helps everybody, helps them with their life too.
That's so powerful. It's because at the end of the day, yes, it's good to bring home a paycheck, but I love what you're doing, how you're changing lives and making a big impact. Unfortunately, we've run out of time because I'd love to, there's so many things you're saying. I could talk another hour with you. This is exciting, but you have a book coming out around the first of the year. What's the book?
Yeah, it's book's called World's Greatest Assistant. And basically it's going to talk about how to create the ideal assistant, and how so everybody can have the world's greatest assistant, and every assistant can be the world's greatest assistant, and that even if that person leaves, even if they go be the world's greatest assistant for somebody else or whatever they go off to do, the next person can be the world's greatest too. It's basically a system on what you need to do to put that in place, and it's exactly the tools we strive to implement at Freetime.
Well, that's awesome. And if people want to reach you, how do they reach you?
You can reach me through Freetime Solutions, through the website. You can contact me there, or just write Barry at freetime.solutions. Yeah, I'll answer.
Okay. And again, the thing you mentioned earlier on freetime.solutions, 249 things that a virtual assistant can do for you. That's free, right? That's a free resource.
Free little booklet. Yeah, that's a free booklet.
Yep. Well, I think I need to download that. I'll be honest, I'm afraid to download it because I think it's going to just kind of say, you already knew this, Craig, get your butt in gear. But Barry, thank you so much for being on the Leaders and Legacies podcast.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.